Hi, friends, and welcome back to Faith and Family Home Conversations. I'm Bob Dyer, and today I want to talk about a question that sits quietly in the heart of almost every parent that I know, even if we don't always say it out loud. And that is, will my child's faith last when they leave home? What happens when they're no longer under our roof, no longer in our routines, and no longer surrounded by what we've built into their lives? Because at some point, every child steps into a world where they have to decide for themselves. What do I believe? What and who do I trust? What will guide my life? And if we're really honest, that can feel a little unsettling. Why? Because we've invested, we've taught, we've tried to be intentional, and now the question becomes, will it stick? Will it hold? Will it stay? And let me begin with something important. You cannot control the outcome. But you're not without influence. You cannot guarantee what your child will choose, but you can shape what they've been given to stand on. And that matters a lot, probably more than you think. Because when you look around, you'll see a range of outcomes. Some kids walk away completely, some hold on loosely, but their faith doesn't seem to guide much. And some own their faith deeply, not perfectly, but personally and steadily. So what makes the difference? Let me tell you what it's not. It's not just information. It's not just knowing Bible stories. It's not just growing up in a Christian environment, and it's not even just external obedience. Because a faith that is only external often fades when the structure is removed. And it's also not pressure, because pressure can produce short-term compliance, but it rarely produces long-term conviction. So what does make faith last? Ownership. A faith that has been wrestled with, thought through, practiced, and personally embraced. That's the kind of faith that holds. And this connects directly to what we've been building in this series. When faith is not just taught, but lived, not just heard, but practiced, and not just required, but understood, it begins to move from something external to something internal, from something inherited to something owned. Proverbs 4:23 says, keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. At some point, your child has to learn to guard their own heart, and that doesn't happen automatically. It happens through formation over time, through the conversations that you've had, through the rhythms that you've built, through the way you've walked with them in real life, not perfectly, but consistently. Let me also say this. Ownership often develops through challenge, through questions, through tension, through moments where faith is tested. And that's why those moments of pushback, as difficult as they feel, are not something to fear. They're often part of the process. Because a faith that has never been examined is rarely a faith that endures. Now, let me bring this back to you as a parent. Your role is not to control your child's faith. You can't. Your role is to faithfully form it while you have the opportunity. And you want to give them truth they understand, a framework that they can use, and habits that they've practiced, and a model they've seen lived out. You're helping them build something that they will eventually have to carry and walk themselves. Here's the encouragement, though. I want to leave you with this. God is at work beyond what you can see. You are not the only influence in your child's life. The same God who is working in you is able to work in them. So stay faithful, stay consistent, stay engaged, not driven by fear, but grounded in purpose, because what you are doing matters. And when you see, even when you don't see it, even when you don't see immediate results, even when it feels uncertain, you are planting, you are shaping, you are building, and over time, that work has weight. Well, next time we're going to begin pulling this series together and talk about how to stay encouraged and steady as a parent, even when the process feels slow or unclear. Because this isn't about perfection, it's about faithfulness over time. So until then, stay faithful, stay grounded, and keep the conversation going.